4 toxic habits that make people lose respect for you. Have you ever thought about why some people over time seem to lose the respect they had for you, even without a very clear reason? Some attitudes which seem small and unimportant can end up destroying the trust that others feel in you and alienating those around you. These actions are not just simple mistakes. They are behaviors that can really damage your image and also the quality of your friendships and relationships. It's important to remember that everyone has flaws. Nobody can be perfect all the time. But today we're going to talk about habits that are even more dangerous because they directly harm the way we live with others. These behaviors can quickly turn a friendship full of future into something cold and distant. They can also get in the way of important moments at work or in other places where opportunities arise. To bring this conversation closer to you, I want to share some personal stories. During my life, I've made many mistakes, learned important lessons, and seen up close how certain behaviors can change the way people see us. Some of these stories are not easy to tell, but I believe that being honest about our mistakes is a very important part of our growth. To help with this reflection, we will use teachings from Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us to live with honesty, strength, and calm. He not only talks about enduring difficult times, but also about building a firm character and a wise mind. So, prepare a coffee, find a comfortable place, and come with me to learn about the 4 bad habits that could be damaging the respect that people have for you. Before we start, I have a little challenge for you. Write in the comments the words, "Abundant life, simple and direct." This gesture helps make our conversation even more fun and shows how many of you are participating. Now let's discover together the 4 behaviors that make people lose respect for you. Habit number 1, interrupting others. Sometimes we interrupt others without even realizing it. The intention most of the time is good. We want to share an idea, compliment a thought, or simply show that we are paying attention to the conversation. We think we are collaborating, that we are helping the dialogue to flow. But in practice, interrupting can send a very different message. It can seem like we value our own voice more than the other person's, that we are more concerned about being heard than listening. I remember well a situation at the beginning of my career. I was young, full of energy, wanting to make a difference and show service. During team meetings, I couldn't contain myself. Every time someone said something that sparked an idea in me, I would cut off to comment, correct, or add something. To me, this was a sign of interest and enthusiasm. I thought I was contributing. Until one day, after one of these meetings, my manager called me to talk privately. She received me with a discreet smile, but her gaze was serious, full of intention. We sat down and she said very calmly, "Have you noticed that you're not really listening? It seems like you're just waiting for your turn to speak." Those words were like a silent shock. One of those moments when we feel reality hitting us hard without needing to raise our voice. I realized that by interrupting, I was not only disrespecting the other person's space, but I was also missing the chance to better understand the ideas that were being shared. I was so focused on stating my vision that I forgot to absorb what others had to say. It was then that I began to see the real importance of listening. Stoicism, a philosophy that I really like, teaches that we must control our impulses and exercise patience. And truly listening is exactly that, a daily exercise in self-control. When we truly listen, we not only improve our relationships, we become more emotionally intelligent. We are able to see the subtleties of words, understand what is between the lines, strengthen bonds of trust, and even avoid unnecessary conflicts. Listening is an art that transforms. It is by stopping to listen that we can respond better, act with more wisdom and respect. After this conversation with my manager, I decided to change. I started practicing calling active listening. Whenever I felt the urge to interrupt someone, I took a deep breath and forced myself to wait. I really paid attention to the person's words, the tone of voice, the emotion behind what was said. Little by little, I noticed a huge difference. The conversations became deeper, richer, more respectful. I gained the respect of my peers, created stronger connections, and became much more aware of how to communicate. So, if you want to improve your relationships, your leadership, and even your emotional intelligence, start with this simple step. Practice active listening. Breathe. Wait. Let the other person finish. You will realize that listening is much more powerful than speaking, and that sometimes silence is the greatest sign of respect we can offer someone. Habit number 2. Gossip. Let's be honest. Gossiping is a very common habit. Almost everyone at some point in their lives has found themselves involved in a conversation where the main topic was other people's lives. Oftentimes, gossip starts so innocently that we don't even notice it. It feels fun. It creates a sense of togetherness, like we are closer to those who share the same secrets and laughs. But the truth is that behind this apparent fun, gossip erodes trust, weakens bonds, and, even more seriously, tarnishes your credibility. I clearly remember a situation from my college days. There, gossiping even seemed like an official pastime. My friends and I would spend hours in hallways and cafes talking about other classmates' lives. Who was dating, who got into a fight, who did something weird. At first it seemed harmless. It was like cheap entertainment, something that made us laugh and feel part of a group. Until something happened that changed my vision forever. There was a colleague, let's call her Emily. She was introverted, shy, and had difficulty fitting in. One day I discovered by chance that Emily had a crush on one of the most popular boys in her class. Instead of keeping this secret, respecting the trust that had somehow been placed in me, I shared the information with some friends, thinking it would just be a silly joke. What I didn't imagine was how quickly the story would spread. Before long, everyone was talking about Emily, laughing secretly, casting nasty looks in the hallways. When Emily realized that her secret became a laughingstock, it was as if her world came crashing down. She moved away from everyone, became even more isolated, and we never had the chance to get closer again. It was my fault. There was no excuse. It was at that moment that I understood the true impact of gossip. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus always taught, focus on your own growth, on what is in your control, rather than wasting energy on meddling in the lives of others. Gossip, in addition to being a huge waste of time, is a silent betrayal of your own integrity. When you participate in these types of conversations, you might even earn a few smiles in the moment. But between the lines, you plant a seed of distrust. Anyone who hears you talking about others inevitably thinks, if he talks about them like that, what does he say about me when I'm not around? If you want to build a solid reputation, if you want to be a respected, trustworthy, and admired person, you need to eliminate this habit from your life. Prefer conversations that elevate, that inspire, that add something good. As an old proverb says, whoever gossips to you, gossips about you. This is a truth that few realize in time. Replace curiosity about other people's lives with genuine interest in building your own story, and you will notice how your life will become lighter, cleaner, more respected. The energy you spent talking about others will be the same energy you will use to grow, evolve, and become someone who inspires, and not someone who entertains at the expense of other people's pain. But there is something important to understand. If you've been trying for a long time to step out of your comfort zone and learn more, but still haven't succeeded, there may be something you don't realize. I know what it could be. It's anxiety. Anxiety is like a snake that comes silently and affects you without you realizing it. It makes you feel bad for days, months, and even years. Living like this is like being sick all the time. But I know a solution. Stoic philosophers, along with modern psychology, have a way to help get rid of this. I myself managed to cure myself of this anxiety. I made a video explaining how you can get rid of this evil, and it's in the first comment. Click on the link in the first comment and start healing from that feeling of anxiety. Habit number 3, being unreliable. Being trustworthy is like building a bridge between you and people. Every promise kept, every commitment honored, strengthens this bridge. But all it takes is one slip, one broken word, and this structure begins to crumble. Reliability is one of the most important pillars of any relationship, whether personal, professional, or family. If people can't count on you, they quickly stop respecting your word. And when that happens, regaining lost trust can be a very difficult task. I myself have made many mistakes in this regard. There was a time when I was known for being unstable. I made plans with enthusiasm, promised to be present at important appointments, but when the time came, an excuse always came up. Sometimes it was unexpected tiredness, other times it was a made-up emergency. I believed these slips were harmless, something small that wouldn't make a big difference in the end, until an episode showed me otherwise. My friend Sarah was organizing her birthday party. She planned everything with great care, thought about every detail, and invited me personally. I promised I would be there, without hesitation. On the day of the party, however, another activity came up that seemed more interesting to me. Without much thought, I decided to skip it. I only informed them right away that the party was already happening, sending a quick and carefree message. When I finally called Sarah, I knew right away that something had changed. His once cheerful voice was cold and disappointed. She tried to be polite, but the damage was already done. From then on, our friendship was never the same. And it wasn't because of the value of the invitation itself. It was because of the breach of trust. I had shown that my word was worthless, that deep down, she couldn't count on me. It was painful to realize this, but it was also an essential lesson. If you want to be respected, truly, learn to keep your promises. Be honest about what you can and cannot do. Don't say yes just to please if you don't intend to comply. A sincere no is better than an empty promise. And if, for any real reason, you need to change a commitment, let us know as soon as possible with respect and responsibility. This small attitude already demonstrates maturity and consideration for others. Your credibility is one of your most valuable assets. It is built on the small details of everyday life, arriving at the agreed time, delivering what you promised on time, keeping your word until the end. It is these discreet attitudes that form the image that people will have of you. In a professional environment, then, reliability is even more crucial. An employee who promises to deliver a project and doesn't deliver, a colleague who schedules a meeting and doesn't show up, soon becomes a burden on the team. Over time, doors begin to close. Opportunities disappear, because no one wants to join forces with someone who doesn't do what they say. Lack of reliability can indeed destroy careers and friendships, but the good news is that reliability can also be cultivated. You can start today with small gestures to rebuild your reputation and become a person that others trust with their eyes closed. Cultivate the habit of being someone who keeps your word. Let your actions speak louder than your promises, and see how, little by little, your life becomes filled with respect, opportunities, and true relationships that stand the test of time. Habit number 4, complaining excessively. Complaining at first glance seems harmless. A little vent to relieve the tension of the day. But when complaining becomes a habit, it becomes like a silent poison, which little by little erodes our energy, drives people away, and traps us in a cycle of negativity. I say this from my own experience. In the past, I was practically a complaints expert. If the traffic was bad, I complained non-stop. If the weather turned cold and it started to rain, there I would be mumbling as if the sky had conspired against me. If something at work went differently than I expected, it was a reason for hours of whining. And so, without realizing it, I became a difficult person to live with. At first, no one said anything. People just smiled or changed the subject. But over time, I started to notice that the invitations to hang out decreased, conversations became shorter, and even my closest friends were distancing themselves. Until one day, a very dear friend decided to be honest with me. He called me to talk, looked me in the eyes and said, "Man, have you ever noticed how you're always complaining? It seems like nothing is ever good enough for you." At the time, I was irritated. I defended myself, I denied it, I tried to justify it. But then, alone, his words echoed in my mind, and then it hit me. He was absolutely right. I was wasting my energy focusing only on problems, completely forgetting to look for solutions. It was as if I was trapped in a grey cloud of my own making, viewing everything with pessimism, even when there were good things happening around me. Stoicism teaches that we should only focus on what we can control. Complaining about traffic, rain, or anything else beyond our reach is useless. What we can really do is adapt. If traffic is heavy, leaving early can avoid stress. If it's raining, perhaps it's an invitation to slow down, read a good book, reflect a little on life. Complaining does not change reality. It just makes her weight even greater. And even worse, it drains the energy of those nearby, transforming light environments into spaces full of frustration. From the moment I changed my mindset and started looking for solutions instead of wallowing in complaints, my life changed. I became a lighter person, more pleasant to be around. Conversations became more positive again, and relationships deeper and truer. Today, whenever I feel the urge to complain, I stop and ask myself, will this change the situation? If the answer is no, I take a deep breath, accept it, and move on. If the answer is yes, then I try to act in a practical way, without wasting energy on regrets. Try this change too. You will be surprised how, when you transform your focus, the world around you also transforms. Opportunities begin to appear, relationships become stronger, and life becomes lighter. If you like this content and want to continue learning how Stoicism can transform the way you live, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos, and share this content with someone who also needs to make that change. See you in the next video. Goodbye.